About to be live here.
Benjamin with that early morning swagger with that camo hoodie, bro.
Oh,
get in my wardrobe.
Oh, it is, baby. Oh, thank you. Amazon, $40. It is freezing in my house right now.
All right, are we good to go now?
We're G to G. Take it away, Clint.
Okay, let's go. Hopefully we won't have any more Zoom issues. Me and Bennery's Zoom thing just totally quit. Okay, it is Friday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's time for another edition of The Call. So on today's call, we're going to be chatting with my boy JP, Jesse Pilkenton. And I'm gonna give you Jesse. Today's format's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna sort of interview Jesse instead of just letting him go for 20 minutes. We're just gonna do kind of an interview style today. So I'll get into a little bit of a further explanation or introduction for him in just a second. But if you're tuning in for the first time and you're interested in becoming an official member of this group of men who are committed to the pursuit of excellence, stay tuned after the call for a few details on how to join. Okay. All right, let's jump in. So anyway, my boy JP.
Good morning, sir.
Let's see. We met each other at church at the Awakening. I don't know. What year would you say?
Asking the wrong bro. I don't remember what I wore yesterday.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give the full, this is kind of how I am, just the full transparency, no holds barred. I ain't holding nothing back kind of deal. So I remember
way to be.
The first time I met JP was I think on the flag football field. Or at least the first time I was really around Jesse. I think it was flag football, and I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of don't like this guy.
Hey, I believe it.
So then I remember me and Leah joined the Awakening, and Jesse was, at that time, I think he was working for the Awakening and kind of helping them just do all the things. And I remember seeing him and being like, oh yeah, that's that guy I kind of don't like. Anyway, fast forward several years, we've gotten to know each other, and honestly, I really truly feel like God has really brought us together in a crazily weird, mutually beneficial way. I mean, we met just this past week on Wednesday, and I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird how, like, whatever I'm going through, here's how it's been. Whatever I'm going through business-wise, I'm usually like a step or two ahead of Jesse, and so I'm kind of helping him and mentoring him, like with business stuff or discipline or whatever. But then spiritually, Jesse's like a step or two ahead of me in a lot of ways, and so he's kind of mentoring me and helping me with stuff, especially with my emotions, because I don't do very well with emotions. So like literally this past week, he's mentoring me and helping me with Salem, my 5-year-old. And I'm just super blessed to know you, Jesse. You've encouraged me a ton. And I'm excited to get into it today with you a little bit.
Let's go.
So historically, you, and I'm not telling anybody anything that you wouldn't say, but historically, you're not the most disciplined or consistent person, correct?
Oh, I would say that's putting it lightly. I was on the far end of the spectrum, to be honest. I was, very undisciplined. And I got away with that sometimes through a certain level of talent, but as you grow up, that just deletes itself. That opportunity. But it doesn't matter really how much talent you have. You need discipline. You need consistency. And so, to be clear and to set some context for everything we're about to say, everything that's happened in my life this year that's been transformative is truly that. It is truly like transformative. I'm a person of historically off the chain levels of undiscipline. Like just, yeah.
So I think where I want to start is kind of this first question of, what was kind of one or two big kind of inflection points where
Mm-hmm.
prior to this year, before you've seen so much success specifically in your health, what would you say are one or two of those inflection points that kind of set you up this year?
Oh man, no doubt about it. The first one that came to mind was March 2nd, 2020. Me and Gracie received our first son. Wallace Bear was born, and it's real sobering. It's real sobering having a child. For me as a person, one of my passions is development in people. In the church, that looks like pastoring, discipling. In relationships, business, it looks like mentoring, developing, coaching. And I'm thinking about the way I want to lead and raise this child as a man. And I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, well, if I really want to raise this kid to walk in the fear of the Lord, then I sure enough better like lead by example. And if I want to raise him to be sound mind and strong, smart and able and conditioned and pursuing excellence, then yeah, it was just a sobering thing, right? I'm not going to say it was like an existential crisis, but it was this moment where I was like, hey, it's either, shiz or get off the pot time, baby. Like you gotta, your baby boy's here, your son's here, and he might be on mom's, milk station right now, but pretty soon he's going to be copying literally everything you do.
I want to pause you there real quick because I want to just give everybody a full picture of this. I remember that, and I remember having a meeting with you in a coffee shop, and I remember when you were at that point where the heaviness was really hitting you, man. I mean, you had a big breakdown cry sesh right there in the coffee shop with me as you were processing all of that. So it was a very strong, powerful feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, it hit me in my core. I mean, that's like the only way there is to say it. I mean, these were like real life depth of who I am kind of conversations I was having with myself. And I was certainly battling the disappointment, the disillusionment, and the disenfranchisement with myself over previous seasons and never being able to pull it together really with any kind of sustained effort. I mean, I could always get up a little bit and then crash and burn style, but to create sustained transformation or just sustain what I know I need to be, that seemed like an impossibility. And so there was an impasse, right? I was like, my previous inability to do that with my baby boy was coming. And that was just hella sobering, man. I was longing for something. Another inflection point for me was, and I would say this, a big thing for me has been mindset. You guys are going to hear about that a lot in this call. It's really true. Your mentality becomes your reality. It really, I believe that with all my heart. I think it's a God thing. I think it's a truthful thing. I don't think it's some like motivational coach bull crap. I think that the Lord set it up in a way where the things that we think produce realities. And there's this one that stuck with me a lot. I learned in sales training, but it really manifested in that season. And it said, until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, there will be no change. And I kind of reached that place where the pain of staying the same had finally tipped the scales. The other inflection point for me, Clint, was I watched a friend transform. One of Gracie's best friends, a girl named Meredith Burford, who's currently my health coach. I'd known her for 10 years. Well, not 10 years. Gracie'd known her for 10 years, been one of her best friends. When I met my wife and we were dating, I inherited her because she's one of Gracie's besties. And she wasn't a healthy person in general. She just, she's a smoker. She'd been in a really trashy relationship where a dude beat the crap out of her and just was insecure. And she was like me when it came to food, always, wasn't one cookie, it was 4 cookies, wasn't one glass of wine, it was 3. And I watched this girl transform. Yes, she lost 55 pounds, but I watched her have breakthrough, and I'm watching it over time. And it actually broke off my cynicism. I was like, I don't care what you're doing. I just got to know. Those two were huge in that season.
That's good. So Tenny asked a really timely question here. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you his question. He says, "What areas of discipline are you talking about failing with in the past?" So you said health is one you failed with, but what else did you feel like you were failing with discipline-wise?
I'll be honest, Tinny, all of them. I mean, I'll go down the list with you. I don't mean that as a vague thing. Spiritually, inability to commit to consistent time in the Word, even though I'm a believer, a pastor, somebody's been to seminary, been trained, a lot of things in my life on paper would say very plainly, I'm committed to the Christian faith and leadership in that faith. All right. Inability to just make consistent time to be in the Word or in prayer, in seeking. I mean, the way you seek excellence with God is called intimacy. Right, that's excellence with God, intimacy, not being an elite Christian, but seeking intimacy with the Father through Jesus. That's excellence in the kingdom. Inability to do it, just like can't do it, can't sustain it, would have mountaintop experiences, would go hard in the paint for a week or two, and then would just be back to only living by a biblical worldview, which has value, but that's not what we're after. We're after intimacy. And so closeness with God, to be clear. So spiritually, nope. Fitness wise, even one of my mentors and best buds is owning a gym. Can't make myself go to it. Went through 2 seasons of trying to go to it and then quitting. Be like, screw this. Nope. And eating wise, man, I wasn't like a yo-yo. I was a blimp. There was no yo-yoing. There was no going down and then up. And it was, I never had the self-will, self-discipline to care about myself enough to like, hey, eat well, put good fuel in your body. Think about, I'm telling you, man, I was the guy who would, if I go to a donut shop, I'd walk out with 10 and I'd tell myself, I'm just sampling them. And I'd eat 6, within 10 minutes. I mean, I just pounded sugar like the drug that it is. Gosh, emotionally, boundaries. I mean, just, I have a litany of, there is a trail of tears in my history of relationships with authority issues, relationships with friends, lost friendships over just not having good boundaries. Yeah, Tenny, ask me. I can sit down with you every day, bro. Pick a category. My life, there was a chaos in my soul, and that was it needed discipline. Now that same chaos, that same energy is the fire that people enjoy in me, but without discipline, the Bible says that zeal ungirded with wisdom is foolishness. That foolishness, to be honest, showed up in a lot of places in my life, basically most categories. It didn't mean I was like people still enjoyed me sometimes if they could stomach me. Clint could stomach me, but Clint got to be like, I kind of enjoy this guy. He brings a little bit of light to my life, and I don't mind his BS. We'll work on that. So, but it took somebody with the leadership aptitude of Clint a lot of times to lead me. Like, it was hard for people to lead me because I didn't have boundaries in every single way, bro. I'm not trying to be dramatic or exaggerate, but that's just Clint could tell you. That's like real talk.
So one thing that came to mind as you were talking, Jesse, was and the funny thing about Creed and you starting and stopping at Creed, I thought to myself, you did that even in the midst of me like telling you exactly what to do and what not to do. Like, okay, Jesse, here's your personality style. Here's what you're going to tend to do. Don't do that, okay? Do this right here. But it's like, the interesting thing is like, it doesn't matter if you have somebody in your life like that. If you're not ready, like if you're not really ready yourself to do it, then it's like it doesn't matter how great your coach is. Like
it doesn't matter.
To do it, you have to do the work.
All can, some will, and some won't. And it really doesn't matter. Even with my health coaching that I do now, I can tell within 2 or 3 weeks if somebody's going to stay the course. And I tell them, I said, listen, man, I can't want it for you. I was like, I love you. I'm with you. I'll be winding your sails. But it's going to get down to brass tacks, and you're going to have to decide whether you want to be about it or you don't. And if you don't want to be about it, come holler at me when you do.
Yeah. So look, when you got on the path, like what month was it ish where you really got on the path and you started doing Optavia and when was that exactly?
So I started off to be a June 8th, and I know that because I got blackout drunk at one of my best
that's my birthday.
friends' weddings the day before. June 8th, your birthday?
You know, it's my birthday.
I'll never forget because I helped my buddy celebrate at his wedding and was a big part of being festive in that. But the no boundaries. Here you go, Tinny. Here's a good example. I go to a wedding. I'm a groomsman. I'm like in moments where I'm leading in prayer at the wedding, very genuinely. I love this couple. Been praying for them. Been loving on them. I'm serving them all day. I'm setting up different moments for all of us. But I just didn't watch my alcohol intake. By the end of the night, we're at a winery, and we had a super good hookup too. And I remember kind of being in and out of consciousness and watching the groom mop up my vomit. That was the day before I started this program, where my wife and my kid were back at the place we were staying. And I had to have one of my other best friends drive me home. And I was like, that's it, man. Never freaking again. Like, you know, just that's the example, Tinny, of how that undisciplinedness. I didn't intend to get drunk. Seriously. I intended to be present and soak up that day, but no discipline. So June 8th started Optavia. And
so
yeah, man.
My main question with that is like, what did you do differently? You know, when you started June 8th, can you nail it down in terms of one or two or three things or something? Like, what did you do to stay on the path this time?
No, you'd be so proud of me, bro. I got notes right here. So coaches, one, I have relationship with coaches in this program. I have people who are pouring into me. It's like, you know, I have people who are up arrows in my health life, and I talk to them a lot. And people who are down arrows, I don't. So I focus on spending consistent time with people who call this true self and this best self out of me. You know, I got a lot better at just getting back on the horse, because to be honest, I didn't stop falling off in moments, right? I didn't stop I lost like 25 pounds in the first month and was killing it on this program, this nutritional program. And I went to Texas as 4th of July with Grace's family, and I blew it for 4 days. I held on the first night and then just blew it and ate and had whatever I want. But I got a lot better. The rate at which I got back on the horse was a lot faster. My agility, my resilient agility, so to speak, just shifted dramatically. And a lot of that came from mindset shifts and really working on eliminating the shame voice. I'm realizing this season I listen to shame a lot.
So, okay, look, in our meeting on Wednesday, you gave a really good differentiator between shame and what was the other word?
And guilt. So guilt's a good thing, man. Guilt's from God. Guilt will convict you. Guilt will give you the opportunity to come to the fork in the road and say, hey, I'd actually like to repent and do a different thing. Or, nah, I'd like to double down and keep being gnarly. So guilt is recognizing I did something bad. Shame is instead believing I am something bad. Shame comes in when we take the action and say I am bad. Guilt is saying no, that was bad. And you have to have a ability to separate there, or else you just live out of this shame. And you're slow, you lack agility. It's super hard to get back on the horse when you criticize the fool out of yourself for even falling off every second of every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, mindset shifts, get on the horse and stay in the course and kind of get my mind right about the way you stay on the path, right? Like the way you stay on the path is like one habit at a time, one moment at a time. You got to build it brick by brick, and it's easy to look for the long term and want the thing that's down the road, right? But you got to build this house brick by brick and commit to that process. And so I'm not trying to build the house again. I'm just trying to, I need to get back and build this brick. I need to get back and make this brick. And you that mindset changed a lot.
I think probably, out of your whole story, I think that's the thing that intrigues me the most about what you've done, is because I know you pretty well, you know, and historically how you've operated over the last several years. And one of the things I've seen in you is like, you're like a ready, aim, 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 create a perfect plan, fire. And then it's like, okay, when you fire, an obstacle comes and knocks you down, and you're like, oh, and then you don't do anything for a couple months. And I'm not, you know, a lot of people do this, you know, I'm just saying.
No, you're just speaking the truth, bro. Come on.
But now you're like, ready, aim, fire, 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 fire. Oh, my magazine's empty. I'm gonna lay it down for a minute and I'm gonna have a few days of whatever. Magazine back in, click, fire, 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 fire. So like, I don't know why are you doing that now versus historically you were in that other pattern?
Because I'm trying to win. Because the other way is like paralysis by analysis all day and full of shame and full of perfectionism and full of even the need for perfectionism, I believe, comes from that shame where it's like, if I don't do this perfectly, well, you're never going to do it perfectly, bro. Get over yourself. That's like a false thing. You're never going to be able to do that. So you're going to be stuck in this cycle of like, I tried to do it perfectly. I didn't. I'm terrible. Let me try again to do it perfectly. I didn't. I'm terrible. You know, it's like, you just got to get that out of the way in general. And you got to get a winning mindset. And that's not like some revelation that's just like, come to me because I'm awesome. I've been listening to winners. I've been listening to winners. I've been reading winners. I've been doing what they're doing. I am not reinventing the wheel. I am literally just imitating and copying the most successful people around me. And all those people are basically like, I don't know, man, there's only so much space up here. Just focus on what you can. And in fact, don't worry about the 100 things that need to get right. Just work on the one thing that needs to get right. And you know what? You do that for 6 months, see what happens.
And so one thing I think you're doing a lot better job of too is like, you know, I think this is one advantage that like somebody like me who is more unemotional, this is the advantage over somebody like you who tends to be more emotional is like, when we fail, we're like, we failed. Okay, let's try again. Whereas like before you were like, I failed. Oh God, I failed. I suck at life. I'm terrible. Like the shame thing. And so, man, I think that's such a big thing, a big win that you've had is like, you're just not doing that anymore. You're not beating yourself up for 3 months and, you know, wallowing around in failure.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can get done when you don't do that, right?
Hey, so let's touch on business a little bit. So, you know, back to Tenny's question where he was like, all the areas of discipline, you know, how would you compare, how has your discipline and your wins in the health category, how has that transferred into how you're operating your business prior and now?
Well, it's given me a lot more focus and clarity. I mean, to be clear, fellas, it's not like I don't feel like my business has had even the same level of transformation. I think transformation starts internally, right? And then it kind of manifests in these other spaces. So I want to be clear before I say this, you know, I still got a ways to go with my business and kind of allowing some of the experiences I'm having now of transforming a bit to really transform my business. But the way I operate is different, or at least I can show up to the table when I have choices with greater clarity, right? But before, sometimes I own a DJ company. I have one full-time employee. I have a couple other part-times. We probably do 75, 80 events a year, mostly high-end boutique weddings, and then throw down every Creed event. But I'm a people person. And so the other spaces in my business that don't really require that skill, sometimes they can be neglected, right? Sometimes they can be left out because I don't want to do them as much, or they don't bring me as much, whatever, excitement, pleasure, whatever. I think showing up to those moments more sober-minded has been the first thing. I'd love to tell you that, like, well, actually, man, my revenue doubled this year. Or actually, I mean, I work in events and it's 2020 and the COVID demon came to town, and it's like it's definitely hit us on the chin. I think I'm more sober minded about what's happening, and I'm looking at stuff I didn't look at before, right? Like I had this. Here's an example to make it a little more concrete. I had this conversation with Gracie this week, yesterday or day before, that I didn't want to have for past 6 months, of just like getting financially present about what happens in my company. Just like it's easy for me to just like it'll work itself out in the wash. It'll like I'm not really sticking to a budget. I always have enough money in there to pay everything, pay me, pay us, pay my people. Everyone here knows that's awful. So I think being sober minded, I'm more willing to live in the light. I feel less shame. Sometimes the thing we don't look at, there's a reason, because we don't want to look at it. And so I think part of the way that's showing up in my business, even this week, is being willing to say to my wife, and for any fellows who are married, that can be a vulnerable and scary thing of just like, I don't want to give this lady ammunition. She's about to put me on the wall and just machine gun Kelly over here. Like I'm not trying to give her any ammo that I am any bit irresponsible about anything. And I think some of that, stop listening to that shame voice, says, no. The obstacle is the way. The way to the other side of having fiscal clarity and fiscal success in your business is to head right at it, like into the storm. You look at it in the eyes and you say, I'm going to beat you. And it's okay if my wife knows I'm on journey with it, because I'm here to win. I'm not here to avoid pain. I'm here to win. And that mentality is different for me in the way I approach even the finances of my company.
All right, so look, Bennery came with a question. He's just punching you right in the face right here. He's like, psh. He goes,
no, but I love that about Bennery. Bennery don't know me yet, but his intensity is like my favorite thing about him. He goes,
did you quit drinking?
Put up tremendous boundaries towards it. I actually don't think alcohol or desserts are the hey, I'm not done. I'll say, and then you go. But had to put up accountability, had to put up boundaries, had to put up, and it's not like I've even had perfect performance with it, but no, I intentionally didn't quit. I invited people into that space and have tried to set up legitimate and authentic accountability and boundaries. So with that being said, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I'll just share that, you told a very similar story that I've experienced, and some of what you've said about yourself is similar to what I've said. And I as someone who does not drink anymore and has had troubles with alcohol in the past, just hearing that story alone, man, I would encourage you to explore like a complete, abstinence of alcohol. So I just was wondering, it wasn't me being critical of you in any way or trying to come at you in an intense way, of more of like, man, that's some red flag shit right there that you need to pay attention to. And you can say all you want about boundaries and all this kind of stuff, but when you describe yourself as one personality and you really kind of go hard on the Zoom call about that, and then you tell that story, like those boundaries, bro, they don't exist, man. Alcohol is powerful. So just as a friend, as a blossoming friendship between us, I would encourage you to consider not having alcohol, and there's nothing in your life that you need alcohol for. So that's just some Bennery advice that you can take or leave.
Thank you, bro, and thanks for sharing. That I know that's born out of your experience, so thank you for sharing that.
That's good. All right. So next question. What are you focusing on now? Well, specifically, let me add a little meat to the bones here. So you hit your goal weight back in like what, a month ago or 3 weeks ago or something?
Something like that, a month ago.
Okay. So when you hit that, talk about that a little bit, and then talk about kind of, next steps. Like what are you focusing on now, or what are you struggling with now that you're working to overcome?
To be honest, when I wrote down notes about this question, I there's this phrase that's come to my mind called that I think about in this season being like, dance with the one who brought you. You know, like when I look back on this previous season, you know, what brought me to this place is actually not some emotional experience. It was absolutely committed and consistent discipline in my habits. And I'm a very emotional, very experiential person, but that's not what did this. What did this is commitment, self-discipline, and consistent habitual changes, moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day. So that's, to be honest, bro, that is like really the one that I'm focusing on, is just stay in the course. Like, actually there's not like a goal. It's like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. I think that's probably the next phase that's coming as I catch some vision in Q1 for what 2021 is going to look like. But, you know, when I was part of the Optavia thing that I'm a part of, they have a nutrition plan, and it's strict. You know, it's strict. It's a caloric reduction. It gets your ratios right. It's ketogenic, and you will lose weight on it. When you remove that, you have to now impose the self-discipline that it was imposing for you. And that's been hard for me. You know, that's been hard. Like I got down to 190, bro. And then I binged for like 5 days on like sugar and carbs and all the things. And I was like, well, like 6 days later, I was up like 12 pounds. It was ridiculous. And so anyways, I got back down, and I'm like having to, with the structure that's imposed on me, remove a little bit of freedom is revealing that I still got some work to do and just stay in the course, right? Just literally like stay in the course and dancing with the one who brought me here. That's like my main focus for the next 60 days, and not with my health, with my business, with the clients that I'm coaching. Just like stay in the course with them. Like, don't miss a call. You know, don't reschedule because things got chaotic in your life. You know, like make the time, make the way. So that's, I mean, I don't know if that's really what you're looking for, but that is what my focus is right now, is stay in the course and keeping that same energy and keeping that same mentality moving into Q1 next year for sure.
That's good. Tenny asked a really interesting question here. He says, when you started to win in one area, you know, your health, well, basically he makes a statement here that when you start to win, it kind of can make you more aware of areas where you're losing. Was that true for you? And if so, how'd that feel? Did that feel overwhelming? Was that not a problem?
Well, Tinny, I think you're bringing up a real reality, bro. I would say that it's like a glass half full, glass half empty thing, right? Where it's like, hey, yeah, it is showing me all the other areas where I now know how to go win. You know, it's like, it is showing me that like, oh yeah, this area needs to get cleaned up. Thank God I figured out how to do it. Right. Had a buddy of mine text me yesterday who owns a restaurant in Athens. He was like, dude, we're getting screwed. It's like, it's been so busy today. I'm trying to get you that invoice, but he said, I'm getting effed. And I was like, actually, you're making cash flow in a really important cash flow season. That's what you're doing, right? It's the same thing. I get it. You're busy. You're getting crushed. You know, your labor's like, but bro, this is huge. So yeah, I would say, Tenny, it's just a mindset shift. It's like, sure, I can go down that rabbit hole. Absolutely. I'm not above that. I'm not above being like, you know, what you just said. I think I really try to focus on allowing it to breathe hope onto me that is greater than my cynicism, because I can be very self-cynical. I've disappointed me a lot in the past. And so even believing that I won't disappoint me, I realized I made a lot of decisions out of the fear of that disappointment. It's like, I'm really going to disappoint myself if I try to get blank together. So I shouldn't even try. So no, it hasn't been overwhelming, but I think that's only because the mentality is present in me where I'm allowing it to breathe hope instead of fear.
Good. Binger, I know you know JP pretty well. Anything on your brain?
Yeah, I'm interested in like what's kind of what you asked about a little bit, like what's next, like, and maybe you don't have anything concrete, but like, are you are you gonna drill in on nutrition? Are you gonna set like weight goals as far as like losing weight, or like strength goals as far as like I want to have times for certain workouts, or I want to be able to do the Murph, or I want to be able to do, I want to be able to bench and squat and clean this amount. Like, what are some, or it could be outside of fitness and health too. It could be whatever that, from this, you're like, this is what I want to do.
So I'll, two responses. The first is there actually are things that I'm thinking about and making plans towards. One of them being like, I'm going to get more invested in the coaching side of my business in 2021. I really find a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure in that. It brings a lot of purpose to what I do, of seeing people win and helping them achieve breakthrough and being wind in their sails for that.
Let me pause you there and say you have a ton of gifting there, because you are so good with people and your discernment level is so high, and you're not afraid to call somebody out. I think that's one thing about Bennery too. Bennery's great at, it's similar to you, high discernment, not afraid to call people out. I think that's what a good coach has to have.
I'm telling you, he doesn't know me like that yet, but it's my favorite thing about him. Clint can vouch for that. So yeah, Benjamin, I would say there are things like that coming together plans wise. Even just like, hey, where am I at now with my weight? What do I want to happen in December through the holidays? How am I going to manage that? What's it look like in January? We get back from the holidays. What's it look like fitness wise? I that stuff is there, but I would say it's a little bit peripheral in this season. There is something that God is doing in me about staying the course and about not moving, like not jumping to the next, but like he's got me like right here. Like I quit Creed for the third time about a month ago with Clint's blessing, because I felt like this spiritual formation class I'm going through is what God is doing right now. And Clint was like, okay. And we will talk through it and walk through it. But I actually think there's this principle. Benjamin, do you remember a kid named Jeremy Aiken?
Yeah.
From The Awakening? So when I was associate pastor at The Awakening, I kept trying to build out our calendars. And the Lord told me twice, 2 years in a row, around the same time, last time I saw Jeremy Aiken at like a coffee shop, he was like, unless the Lord builds it, the laborers labor in vain. I really believe with all my heart that God is building something in me right now. And what he's told me is to stay right here, right now, like stay the course. Like, and I think practically it's because, I'm an extremes kind of guy. So it's like, I might need a little more time here in this little incubator. I might need a little more time kind of getting some of this stuff really settled in, really, you get the roots on it deep, like the Revy's here, but these roots need to go deep, man, where I know whatever I approach in 2021, 22, 23, that I approach it as a different man, and allow this transformative time to actually be more complete. So I would actually say, although my mind goes to where you're going, I just don't think that's where specifically for me I'm at in this season. And so I'm having to like stay here and be content with that. Nah, man, you're here and I'm working this thing out. I'm doing this thing. Just be here with me in it. Just have fellowship with me in this space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. And I relate to that too. So being an extremes person, that it's often better to not keep pushing the limit on, what you can do in a certain space. It's better to incrementally increase, spend some time, readjust, allow your new habits to kind of sink into your life. And then, okay, now we can stack something else on top of that.
Well, just imagine you as the freaking firecracker that you are, bro. Like the Lord's just holding you back. It's not because he doesn't want you to move forward. It's because when he opens that thing, you're going to fly through it versus having to, take down wall. I just think sometimes for people like us, it's learning to lean back in the land so that when we come forth like a lion, it gathers, it doesn't scatter.
Yeah.
It creates, it's just in line with what God's doing instead of just like go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it made me think about kind of what you said earlier about, the obstacle is the way. That is your obstacle. Your obstacle is to kind of stay put and, be disciplined and not get ahead of yourself. And that is your obstacle. So I totally agree. That is the way for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's good. All right, man. We got like 2 or 3 minutes left. What did I not ask you that I should have asked you?
Nothing, man. You know the story better than anybody. You've been coaching me through it long before the transformation. So, I mean, long before any, Clint, the work that you've done in this season of my life is powerful. It should bring you a lot of pride because you were throwing seeds and pouring water when other people weren't able to stomach it. So just know, the grace on your life to call lions out of people is very present. So no, thanks, man.
Totally, man. It's like I said, it's been a fun, mutually beneficial, and I would encourage all of you guys, like, it's the same. I've talked about this before, but even like Kelly Kerner, he jumped off the call, but Kelly, super successful, he's in his 50s. I look up to him a ton in so many ways. And I, years ago asked him to mentor me, and he jokingly says, but also he's not joking, he's being serious, but he calls me his mentor. But it's so interesting how when you have that relationship, it really is a mutually beneficial experience. And so I would just encourage you guys, if you don't have a mentor or two, man, get them, because it's powerful, Powerful stuff. All right, brother. Hey, thank you, man. How can we connect with you? And if somebody wants to pursue coaching with you or get into Optavia or whatever, how can they connect with you?
I mean, the best way is through my Instagram at DJ_Pilkey. I've got a website, Judah Press Entertainment. I've got an Optavia website. But hook up with me on social. I'll be posting a lot more. That's one plan for 2021, quarter 1, quarter 2 is stay in the course in what's in my heart when it comes to social media. And that's like to share authentically and to give away things that are given to me. I've made an investment in some gear to do that. And so I'm excited about that coming. You'll kind of see, again, I'm just copying and imitating trying to pull together and distill down the nuggets, the nectar of winning from folks I see winning around me. So that's probably the best places on my Facebook and on my Instagram. And if you know somebody in your life who doesn't have a lot of hope about losing weight or getting healthy, Optavia is a way to do that. It'll help you get some weight off, and more importantly, their whole thing is around habits. Any diet or nutrition or whatever thing can literally make the way that gravity weighs your body be less, right? But if you don't install these healthy habits in your life, then there's no long-term sustained health. And so if you know somebody who's like kind of hopeless about that, needs a plan, needs a blueprint, so to speak, that's what Optavia is really good for.
That's good, brother. Thank you, man. Love you, man. And got a lot out of today. So I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, young man. Nice truck.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I get my truck at 11, so I'm fired up.
Hey.
All right, guys, that is it. It's 8 o'clock. It's time to go get after it. Thanks for tuning in today, and y'all go get some.
Cheers, gentlemen.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Over and out.
My video just stopped working. I don't know why.
Uh-oh. You want me to go over this stuff right here?
I can do it from. I can do it just audio, unless you want to, but it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, man. It's 8:00. If you're tuning in for the first time and you want to join our group of powerful men, you can head to Friday715.com. We meet every Friday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are looking to do an overhaul on your business and you want Clint and I to look at that and or just your life in general, you can email us at FridayCall715 Again, that's FridayCall715 and get in this group. If you want to support, the best way is just to get in this group. We're looking for like-minded individuals that are growth-oriented and focused on goals and habits and systems for improving their life. And you can subscribe to this is on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram at Benjamin Bisson and at Coach Clint Watson. Until next time, men, go out there and make the difference that only you can make in the world.
Get it.